Everybody knows the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0 is JohnnyCuba, and all guests who join ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer. JohnnyCuba, a lifestyle brand, European roots with a Caribbean soul. Hey, you getting ready for that Panther and Heat games tomorrow night? Very big Wednesday night. Make sure you have a refreshing German lager in a can. You can pick up a new six-pack if you've run out. Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. And, of course, don't forget JohnnyCuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. And joining us here is our pal, Florida Panthers color analyst, Red Deer Randy Moller. Randy, I'm so thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for everybody who's been in the organization for as long as you have. I'm so happy for the Panther fans. I mean, yes, they're up 3-0, which is crazy. But when the Panthers, Randy, won game 1 against Toronto, the Panther fan was in a situation they hadn't been in 27 years. They had not won a game in the second round. And I'm just so thrilled. You must be so excited also.
Yeah, I am. And you hit it on the head too, Zaz. I'm more happy for the fans than anyone else. Of course, the organization as well. They've worked hard ever since the Viola family, Vinny Viola with his partner, Doug Sifu, purchased this franchise. Their one goal in mind, and that was to build a championship team, but to do it the right way and have patience and don't cut corners and build it through the draft and hire good, solid people, hockey people. And we're starting to see that now. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the team. The players have worked extremely hard. A lot of adversity this year, Zaz. You know, I was on with you a number of times. Oh, boy. Remember sitting there January 1st after a loss on home ice on New Year's Day against the Rangers. Panthers, 8 or 9 points out of a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. The team was just, it was inconsistent. Yet they had that true belief that if they stuck to their guns and they got healthy and the schedule got a little better for them, that towards the end of the year would all come together. And that's what we're seeing right now. That belief in the locker room and belief in Paul Maurice's system. Some of the press conferences and quotes in the press by Paul Maurice back in early February, and I think a lot of people were going, wait a second. But he never, just calm, stick to your guns. Here's how we have to play. It's a learning process. We're going through the curves, the ups and downs right now, but it will get there. And we're seeing that. And that's what it's all about. Playoff hockey is so much different, Zaz, than regular season hockey.
You know, there's obviously a lot of...
Pause it right there. Yeah.
You know, I'm one of the first people who would tell you, Randy, I was very frustrated during the season, very upset with Paul Maurice, and I'm the first one here to tell you that no matter what happens, and there's a lot of work left to be done right now, but no matter what happens now, they were right. Like, Bill Zito was right. Paul Maurice was right. An incredibly ballsy move to trade away Huberdeau, bring in Tkachuk, which has been a grand slam of a trade, but to change the style of play from a team that just won the President's Trophy, it's an incredibly ballsy move that I don't think a lot of front offices, a lot of organizations would have been willing to take the risk. And they took the risk. It was not going well in the regular season. It was going poorly. But now it got to the place that they've been saying the whole time that all of this we're going through right now is going to benefit when we get to the money time of the season, and that's the playoffs. They were all right.
Yeah, and for your fans that are listening and watching, let's go back. There's been so many teams in the NHL that have won the Stanley Cup that have had to change the dynamics of their team and the way they play. The Chicago Blackhawks figured it out. You've got the St. Louis Blues really figured it out. The Washington Capitals when they won. It's not, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Run and gun, wide open hockey in the regular season. Go back to last year with the Panthers, won the President's Trophy. They scored more goals in the NHL in a season over the last 30 years. Second round last year, they go up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. There's no room on the ice. It's more physical, more battles in the trenches, no wide open hockey, no 3-on-2s, and the Panthers failed miserably. They lost 4 straight and scored 3 goals. Something had to change. And the Panthers, as you said, it takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to say the self-awareness and go, okay, this is not working. How do we get to that next step? We have to change the way that we play in order to be sustainable in the postseason when it is tougher, it is grittier, it is warfare in the trenches, and those fancy plays that everybody loves and you see on the highlights in the regular season, a lot of that disappears in the playoffs. And you have to be willing to sacrifice your offensive stats for the welfare of the team and the success of the team. And it's tough. It's really tough. The first step the Panthers did was change the dynamics. And you mentioned brought in a Matthew Tkachuk, not the fastest player, but I tell you what, he's a gamer. He'll do anything to win. He's aggressive. He gets underneath the skin of the opposition. And that kind of personality has been infectious for the whole team. So now we go into the playoffs this year after a regular season that was up and down and that didn't score as many goals. Power play struggled a lot during the season or whatever, but they made it. Now, look at the players and how they're playing and the style that they're playing. They get it. The old system, wheel and deal, run and gun, doesn't work. Here's what we're going to have to do. And it's a lot of times, Zaz, and you watched every game. A lot of the games, it's not pretty. The puck's along the boards, and who is able to recapture that puck, protect the puck, have support, come out. If there's no play, it's shovel it up the wall or off the glass rather than those risky cross-ice passes that get picked off that cost your team in the playoffs. The Panthers have learned that. And now we're seeing how you can win in the playoffs and consistently. It took a long time, but this team has figured it out. And they bought into the system from Paul Maurice and his coaching staff. And now we're seeing the fruits of their labor.
6 wins in a row. They're either 1-goal games in the third period. We trailed in the third period in game 6, that incredible 7-5 win. You have overtime wins during that stretch as well. How do you, Randy Moller, experience the third period of these games? Because for me, I'm watching in the ZASLOW Mansion family room, and I'm one bad pass away from projectile vomit in the third period. How do you experience these games?
Well, I'll be honest with you, pretty similar. It's been pretty nerve-wracking. It's pretty stressful. You know, we're doing in the second round, and if everything goes well, we'll be doing it throughout the playoffs, where Jessica and I and Goldie and Katie, we do an hour post-game show on Bally's for our fans and break down the game, show the highlights, and most importantly, have the interviews and hear from the stars and that. So we've had a blast doing it. But I can tell you, Zaz, I'm sitting in the studios at Bally's and watching these games, and I'm just like you. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm drained emotionally because that is playoff hockey. It is close checking. It's low scoring. It's a bounce here. It's a bounce there. And it can be the difference of a game, a series, and a season. And that's what we're seeing right now. Now, let's be honest. The Panthers have gotten some good breaks. They've gotten some good bounces. They've capitalized on small mistakes that the opposition has made, going back to the Boston series, even in the Toronto series. It's not over yet. Toronto's too talented of a hockey team to not have the possibility of a comeback and win even game 4. tomorrow night. It could happen. But it's how you react and how you make adjustments through the adversity that is happening shift by shift, period by period, game by game. That's where the belief has to come in. And right now, knock on wood, the Panthers have excelled in dealing with adversities and adjustments that have to be made throughout the games.
How's the crowd been?
Oh, it's amazing. It's unfortunate, though. A lot of fans don't realize, Zaz, the second round, I'm not in the building.
Oh.
We're watching in the
You're doing it in Fort Lauderdale even for the home games.
Yep. And a couple of games we're having to go because of the heat and the Marlins. We're having to do a couple of games up in Tampa's studio, Bali's studios up in Tampa. Right. But I'm having a blast with it. And of course, you know me. When the team wins, just roll the highlights and the positive player interviews and all that. We break.
You were going on and on a couple games ago about the people out there doubting the Panthers. You were giving them a little bit of piece of your mind.
Well, it frustrates me. And I did a international. I went on Sirius XM, Channel 91 interview that is broadcast worldwide. Mm-hmm. And, they're asking me, Randy, the atmosphere of that game number 3 in Florida, probably hasn't happened since 1996 when the Panthers went to the Stanley Cup Finals. I said, guys, sorry. New Jersey, when they went to 7 games a number of years ago, the Washington series last year, 20,000 people going crazy. The Tampa series, even though the Panthers lost both games on home ice, it was absolutely bananas. This crowd, and I explained as well, the people, a lot of them, the media and fans up north, and especially in Canada, they don't think that this is a hockey market. They think it's a little bit of a niche in that. You've got the Marlins playing. You got the Heat in a playoff series against the New York Knicks. Oh, yeah. And on the same day, on Sunday, the Panthers had over 20,000 people in their building. 3 hours after, 275,000 fans were at the F1 Formula race, 13 miles from the Panthers arena. You don't think it's a sports town? This is a sports town.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
Yeah. And so you've got people that will support the Heat sellout. It's playoff. Everybody's into it. The same thing with the Panthers. I get tired, Zaz, the long-winded answer. I get tired of the Panthers organization and hockey in general. And it's a slap to the face to the fans down here that have invested and have been supportive of this franchise. The Panthers average over 17,000 people a game all season long, and 20,000. And you can't get a ticket. You can't even get a standing room only ticket.
Believe me, Randy, I looked the other day to try and take my 2 boys. It's an extremely expensive ticket. It's incredibly hot right now. I mean, it's tough to get in the building. It's
nice to see. I speak for the fans. And I know they get frustrated because they hear all these comments and social media and all that. This is a hockey town. They support the Florida Panthers. The Panthers and their ownership have treated them very well. They've got a team that they can be very proud of, and it's all positive.
And the part that bothers me, and I actually talked about this yesterday. I was on the Levitard show yesterday, and I pushed back against Dan about this because, the whole idea where Toronto and even just the entire Northeast when it comes to sports and hockey in particular, Toronto, are there more Maple Leaf fans up there who have lived their entire life around the Maple Leafs than there are Panther fans? Yeah, of course. But those Maple Leaf fans, those hardcore Leaf fans, they don't care more about the Leafs than the hardcore Panther fan cares about the Panthers. None of those guys up there care more about the Leafs than I care about the Panthers. We're just as good a fan base. There's just a lot more of them.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is, and I said something, I've done a couple of different interviews with media outlets up north. And I said, guys, in Toronto right now, it's 44 degrees and there's nothing going on. There's nothing else.
And they've been in the league for 100 years.
It's it's 85 degrees down here. We have golf courses and beaches and everything else. And we got the Heat in the playoffs. We got the F1 Formula race that went on, and we have the Panthers. And that just shows, and kudos to the fans, sports fans down here, to support their teams. And that I'm very proud of that, because there's a lot of distractions, as you know, down here. You can spend your money and your time in so many different areas and that, but the show, that the support that the Panthers and the Heat have gotten, and that's really, really shows what it's like down here.
Tomorrow has a chance to be a really special night for both teams, actually. For the first time ever in South Florida sports history, the Heat and the Panthers can clinch a second-round series on the same night. So tomorrow can be an historic night for both of the teams. I can't believe the Panthers are in this position. It's so much fun. I think it's going to be the best crowd ever tomorrow night at FLA Live Arena. Tell everybody what time you guys are going on. Well, I guess immediately after the game, you guys go on, right?
Yeah, the game starts at 7. As soon as the game's over, 5 minutes after, Jessica and I will break it all down, win, lose, or draw, and we have so much fun. And it's a relaxed atmosphere. Goldie's at the rink, Katie's at the rink getting interviews. We break it down. We have so much fun.
Great job, Randy. Thanks for joining us today. It's so exciting, all of it.
Thanks, Daz. Thanks. Always a pleasure being on your show.